So what stumbles you? What's your stumbling block? Now, for a long time, for the longest time, I thought being an immigrant, a 1.5 generation Korean Canadian was a huge stumbling block for me. For me to succeed and excel in my life, in my career, and relationships. Why? Because I am neither fully Korean nor fully Canadian. I'm just in between, sort of in between. I go to Korea and I speak with, hang out with Korean friends. They think I'm too Canadian. And I go hang out with some of my Canadian colleagues and ministers. They think I'm too Korean. And I speak both languages, English and Korean. I speak both languages, but when I'm with Korean friends, they think I speak funny Korean with certain Canadian accent, American English accent, and when I'm with my Canadian colleagues, they think I speak funny English with certain Korean accent. I mean, what can I do, folks? I'm neither fully Korean nor fully Canadian. 1.5 generation, in between, sort of. Doesn't belong to either this group or that group fully. Just hanging around, just on the margin of both groups. And that really bothered me for a long time. It's been a constant source of frustration and struggle, kind of a stumbling block for my life. But then I realized that this stumbling block can be a stepping stone. You just have to flip it on the other side. Just have to flip it. A lot of Koreans think that I'm a hotshot, super elite, English-speaking preacher, English-speaking minister who has a fluent command of English and preaching without a script. They say, how do you do that, Richard? How do you do that? Wow, they're very impressed. Then I go to a Canadian friend, they think I'm great in translation. 2 years ago, I was in Korea, conference, quite a few Korean Canadian English-speaking ministers from BC conference. I was there for about 1 week, and I translated from Korean to English and English to Korean, and some of them, all of them actually thought I was, how do you translate so well? It's so easy. And I was constant demand. I was like on a center of attention and constant demand. I was like more like a VIP, and all of a sudden my stumbling block all of a sudden became a stepping stone. And my perceived barrier of being an immigrant and 1.5 generation all of a sudden became a bridge to bring these two parties together. All I had to do was to flip it, lay it down to one side. That's all I had to do. So what's your stumbling block? What stumbles you on your way of following Jesus Christ? See, your stumbling block can be your stepping stone, and your barrier can be your bridge in advancing the gospel of Jesus Christ. So today's text we read from Mark chapter 9, and we read Jesus teaching two issues about discipleship. Two issues about discipleship. One about how to deal and how to regard, how to relate with those outside of church who are doing great work. How to relate with these people. And then the other part is about how to treat those within the church, especially the little ones, the powerless ones in the church. So it's about relational issue outside of church and inside the church. And how we as disciples of Jesus Christ can be either a stumbling block or stepping stone or barrier or bridge in advancing God's will on this earth. So Jesus and disciples were passing through the region of Galilee, and one of the disciples were asking Jesus about a certain person who doesn't belong to the group, but casting out the demon in the name of Jesus. and were asking Jesus to, what should we do about it? So they were asking me, Jesus, this person doesn't belong to us. He's not of our group. This person, we have no idea who this person is. He doesn't have our church membership. He doesn't belong to us, but this person is in your name, is casting out demon in your name. What should we do? How should we deal with this person? So they're kind of expecting Jesus to rebuke such person. But Jesus said, don't stop him. Don't stop him. He says, if anyone in my name doing something good and powerful, this person, next breath, he doesn't turn around, next breath, he will not cut me down. If anyone is not against us, he is for us. And he goes on further. He says, if anyone in my name give you a cup of water, then he is our friend. And God will remember his act. If anyone is not against us, then he is for us. So how should we deal and relate with those people who are outside of our church, outside of our denomination, outside of Christianity, outside of our religion and our faith, who are atheists, who belong to some other religious group or different forms of religion, different faith group, different race, whatever difference, it doesn't belong to us, doesn't have a membership, a Christian membership, but this person is actually doing good for the well-being of this of the world. How should we deal with people who are out there, who don't belong to us whatsoever, in any way or shape or color? Don't belong to us, but standing up against the evils of this world, who are pursuing and seeking justice and peace in the world, for the well-being of the world. How should we deal with these people? And these are some of the questions that we have all the time. How should we deal with people who are saints out there? They don't belong to Christianity. They don't know Jesus. How do we deal with these people? Should we reject, dismiss, judge them because they don't belong to us? They don't have our membership. Earlier in my younger time, when I was a teenager, through my simplistic and very immature and very black and white lens, I tend to view world in two different ways, black or white. Black or white. If you're a Christian, then you are a good person. If you're not, you are lost. If you're a Christian, you go to heaven. If you're not, you are lost. It's a very simplistic way of understanding. It didn't really matter if the person has done great work. Would always dismiss, because I always had this kind of a suspicious kind of this person must have a different intention, right? Doing a good job, but a different intention. Always had this kind of tainted, always had this suspicious look. I remember reading an article in a Christian magazine, like many years ago, Christian publication magazine, about asking a question on whether Gandhi, you know who Gandhi is? Yeah, Gandhi went to hell or heaven. Very simple question, because he was not a confessing Christian. So my simplistic, immature, and narrow religious zeal, I said, no. Although he did a great job, no, because he's not a Christian, he would not go to heaven. Very simplistic. I mean, in my black and white, I reduced everything with this simplistic kind of binary, kind of judgmental and black and white standard, and judged everybody based on that, whether you belong to us or not. It didn't matter whether the person has done a great job, great work to bring about the well-being of the wider community. As long as you don't belong to, if you don't belong to our Christianity, if you don't belong my brand of Christianity, which happened to be Presbyterian way back, then there must be something wrong with you. I'm glad that I grew out of that immature and fundamental understanding of of worldview and faith orientation. Disciples ask a very similar question to Jesus. This person is casting out demon in your name, but this person doesn't belong to us. He is not a Christian. He is not a Jew. He doesn't have our membership. What should we do? How should we relate with this individual? And they were expecting Jesus to rebuke such a person. But Jesus said, no, don't. If this person is not against us, he is for us. What I like about our denomination, United Church of Canada, is our approach, in our openness and inclusiveness and working together, working out people with outside of church, those people who are different religious background, different faith background, even atheists, anybody who's actually standing up against the evil of this world, who are doing great work, we're able to work together. Able to work together in bringing about the justice and peace in this world. In pursuing and seeking justice and peace in this world, in resisting evil in this world, we should lay down, we have to overcome all the differences that exist between us. Our theological biases, our denominational differences, our doctrinal differences, our religious, our faith, our orientation, our cultural, our ethnic, all the difference we must lay down. We must lay down. Because on the other side is our mutual, what we share together is our mutual understanding and the shared pursuit of seeking justice and peace in this world. On the other side, we must lay down all the differences that exist between us. When our church vision, one of the directions is to build a community without loneliness. In building community without loneliness, we should be able to open ourselves, to go out there, to network, to work together with a different faith group, different religious group, different corporations and non-profit organizations, profit organizations, whatever forms and colors and people they come from, we should be able to work together. Lay down all in the church, especially the little ones, the powerless ones in this world. How should we care? And Jesus, in this passage, we see a harshest saying of Jesus in any of the Gospels. Right? In all of the Gospels, we hear Jesus harshest, and he says, if any of you cause these little ones, the powerless ones, to stumble, to fall away from God, then it would be better for you to hang a great huge millstone around your neck and to throw yourself into the deep sea. That is like the harshest saying in the gospel. And then he followed up with that. He says, if your hand or your foot or your eye causes you to stumble, then cut them off. Throw them in the garbage dump. It's better for you to live your life without the harsh sin. So we hear Jesus' ultimate concern toward the care for the little ones and powerless ones of this world. If you cause any of these little ones, the powerless ones, if you manipulate, if you offend, if you victimize, if you cause them to stumble in their faith, then it's better for you to just jump off the bridge, in other words. That's harsh saying, isn't it? So there's a call for the church to care for the little ones and the powerless ones in our care. Today, General Council has invited United Church members to wear something orange. So I was going to it's an orange shirt day today, so I was going to actually wear orange. I just found out this week, so I didn't make an announcement last week for you to actually participate. So I was going to actually wear an orange shirt, and I tried it this morning. It's just too tight on my body. I just could not. I would just. So instead, I had orange stole, And then I purchased orange sock. You see that? So Orange Shirt Day to honor and remember all those indigenous children who went to residential school and who were perished in the school. We want it's kind of solidarity. As we wear this as solidarity with them and then remembering what they have gone through. But it's also a call for the church to become a stepping stone. Church to make the wrongs right. For what we have done in the name of God. It's a call for us to be a bridge, no more barrier. You know that I've gone into 2 years of ministry in the First Nations Indigenous community for 2 years. I've heard too many stories of tragic stories from the people who have went to residential school, who have experienced all these tragic things happen, but also the family members who have lost some of their family members through the school experience. I've heard too many stories of that tragic stories and their sufferings of how the residential school and how what we have done had caused them. Generations of people, generations of family, generations of tribes and communities. I will not go into detail because there are too many details. But some of you probably have heard through the Truth and Reconciliation meetings that we've had in the last few years ago. If you haven't, I really encourage you and urge you to listen and to understand and to hear. The United Church of Canada is through the action work of the Truth and Reconciliation we are initiating. We are doing not only apologizing, but also we are doing something to make things right. The wrongs that we have done. Instead of becoming a stumbling block, we're saying that we want to be stepping stone toward reconciliation and healing. We want to build a bridge to the reconciliation and healing for these people, for these little ones that we have caused. In General Council 43 last year, this summer, we also made an apology to the community, LGBTQ community and people for what we have ignored, what we have rejected as church together, how we have dismissed their sufferings in the last many years. The church has not been an active part in raising their rights. And we're saying to us that we're initiating. We want to be a church where we want to break down the barriers. We want to be the bridge to begin healing. So that's our call. That's what Jesus, in this text for today, is calling the church. So what can we do? I just want to go a little bit further. What can we do as a community together? I mean, we can talk a lot about this. We can be emotional about this, and we can do some religious rituals about this. But nothing really changes unless we make changes, right? It's just intellectual exercise, right? It can be just religious rituals, but we need to make certain changes in the wider denomination, but also in local congregation. What can we do to further the rights of the little ones and the powerless ones in our midst, to embrace them into God's house? So one of our social justice team ministries in our church, their goals for the next 3 years is to help Knox to become an affirming congregation. And our church board has accepted the challenge and made the goal the board mandate for the next 3 years. We will go through a process of becoming open and affirming place for all people, welcoming place for whatever orientation or color or race or language or ability. We're not just talking about it, but we're intentionally creating a place of welcome for all people. That we want to be a stepping stone and a bridge for all to encounter the Holy One. And that's how we become salt of this world. If you are the salt, Jesus. If the salt loses saltiness, what good would that be? That's one way for us to become salt of this, from stumbling block to stepping stone, from barrier to bridge, for the kingdom of God to flourish, for the peace of Christ